Everyone talks about how cheap life can be when you move abroad, but nobody really tells you about the surprise expenses that can hit you along the way. Today I'm breaking down the hidden costs that I never expected so you can plan smarter than I did. So I've been planning my move to Mexico, and I've been finding some hidden costs along the way that I definitely did not expect. These are things that really surprised me, and they're also things that can really add up if you're not careful. So if you're thinking about moving abroad after 50, this video is for you. First up is your health. Super important. This is a big one. I thought I had everything figured out. Basic insurance coverage, a plan for minor doctor visits. But when I recently ended up needing shoulder surgery before my move, I realized how expensive healthcare can be either before or after your move. Even with international insurance or local plans abroad, you're going to need to plan for things like routine checkups, medications, surgeries, physical therapy. That's a big one. I'm going 3 times a week right now at $50 a pop, US dollars. But of course, that's here in the US. And a lot of these countries that people are interested in moving abroad, your medical healthcare costs are going to be a bit lower, but it is still going to cost you something. And it's mostly going to be out of pocket. So my tip here is to build a buffer in your budget for medical emergencies. Even if you think you're healthy now, it can help to prevent a lot of stress and money later. Next up is visa and travel logistics. I recently went through the Mexican residency process, and spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the video on this one, I got denied. I had all my paperwork, proof of income, I thought I had everything covered, but they didn't accept my self-employment or my rental property documents. Not only was that disappointing, but there were real costs involved. Travel to the consulate, visa photos, notarizations, translations, it adds up fast. And if you're moving to a country that requires proof of savings or income, make sure you understand the rules completely, or you could face unexpected delays or extra trips back and forth. Next up, we have taxes and financial responsibility. There's another cost that a lot of people overlook completely until they get to the country that they're moving to and it hits them, slaps them right in the face. And that is taxes. Yes, even when you live abroad, Uncle Sam wants to hear from you. And depending on the country that you move to, you can get taxed in both places. I was watching a YouTube video from an American woman that has lived abroad for 12 years. I wish I had saved it because now I can't go back and find it to tell you who she is. But she had a really interesting video on taxes. And during those 12 years, she's lived in numerous countries. And one thing she talked about that really hit me hard and I think makes a good point here is that she mentioned that when she lived in the Netherlands, for example, she was paying 52% on her income, which is huge. But then now she's currently living in Italy and she's only paying 7%. So huge difference from one to the other. Now, I'm not saying don't go to the Netherlands or everybody should go to Italy. And those statistics may or may not be factual and up to date as of today. Both are amazing countries. But it just means really do your research before you leave, especially for the countries where they don't have is it a treaty? I'm not sure if that's the right word. An agreement, I guess, basically with your home country. So in my case, I would really like to, where I'm going to plant roots in the future, be in a place that has an agreement with my home country being the United States, for example, where I don't get taxed in both places. So just really look into that because that is huge. You know, imagine making all these wonderful plans to go live in this exotic country and you think you have it all figured out financially, and then you get there and suddenly find out that they're going to take this huge 50%, for example, amount of your income, whether that be your Social Security or pensions, or if you're working remotely. You know, that would be really, really huge. And that could really put the kibosh on your plans and have to steer you into another direction suddenly to find somewhere else to live. So I implore you to look into that now rather than later. The lesson here, know the tax rules before you go. Every country is different and it can massively affect your monthly budget. Okay, the third thing is housing. Renting or buying abroad can be tricky. I thought, oh, rent is cheap in Mexico. And yes, in many places it is, until you start factoring in deposits, which are sometimes 2 to 3 months upfront, utilities, water, electricity, internet, gas, HOA fees if you buy a condo or a house, and unexpected repairs. So even if the monthly rent looks amazing online, these little extras can add up quickly. Fourth thing is moving costs. When you start downsizing and shipping, shipping your things abroad, costs can climb higher than expected. You might think, I'll just pack my stuff and go. And I'm a fly by the seat of my pants kind of gal myself, so I understand. But shipping furniture, electronics, personal items, things of that nature can add up really quickly when you're talking shipping them internationally. And even if you sell or donate most of your things like me, temporary storage units or temporary housing can catch you off guard. Once this house sells, I may actually be a little bit in between houses myself too. So I have to factor in the cost of renting Airbnbs or surfing on friends and family's couches, which can get old pretty fast. So that is another expense to look at. Another hidden cost that doesn't get talked about enough is financial structure, meaning your income streams and your banking. If you're moving abroad after 50, I believe that it's so important to have more than one source of income. Things change, exchange rates fluctuate, and rentals can fall through. What you need is a safety net, not a single point of failure. And speaking of safety nets, spread your money across several banks. Do not rely on just solely one bank. I've heard horror stories from expats whose new bank, whether it be in Europe or South America, will sometimes freeze their assets for 30 to 40 days when transferring from their home country to the new country. They'll just put a complete freeze on it. And if that's your only place that you've got your money, you are up shit's creek. Imagine being in a new country with zero access to your money. No, thank you. And don't forget to factor in the cost of flying home, not just for fun trips, but also emergencies. When you have kids or parents, you never know what could happen where you might have to fly home at a moment's notice. And if that's not in your monthly budget, if you haven't planned for that, you could be in a real sticky situation. And finally, lifestyle adjustments. You might assume that because your new country is cheaper, that you'll automatically save tons of money. And yes, sometimes that's true. But you may also have costs that you didn't anticipate. Eating out more than you planned, social activities, and travel within the country, learning new systems, apps, or services, or occasional splurges on things that just make your life a little bit easier. The reality is it's easy to underestimate these soft costs. They may not seem like much individually, but they really add up over a few months. So what can you do to prepare? Build a budget buffer. Aim for at least 3 to 6 months of funds for emergencies. Research healthcare options. Even if you're healthy, know what coverage is available locally. Understand visa requirements fully, which includes translations, notarizations, income proof, savings timelines. Check everything in advance. For example, at the consulate I went to, it was my understanding that they only needed to see 6 months of proof of income. But when I got there, they said they needed 12 months of proof of income. So I had to head out to find a Kinko's to try to download 6 more months worth of proof of income, which they still didn't accept. But it's good to know that in advance. Factor in moving and shipping costs. Downsizing might save money, but shipping is not cheap. Plan for lifestyle expenses. Groceries, dining out, social activities. Okay, so what can you do to prepare? Build a budget buffer, research healthcare options, understand visa requirements, factor in your moving and shipping costs, and plan for those lifestyle expenses. Also, make sure you understand the tax situation, both at home as well as abroad. Plus, set up multiple income streams and diversify your banking so you're never caught without access to your own money. The key takeaway? Planning ahead can help you enjoy your move instead of stressing over unexpected bills. If you've already moved abroad or are planning to, I'd love to hear what surprised you the most about the costs. Do me a favor, drop a comment below and share your story. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any of the videos in my series about retiring abroad after 50, where I share tips, my personal journey, and everything that I'm learning along the way. And here's what I'll leave you with. You only get one life. If you feel called to something new, a different pace, a different lifestyle, a better quality of life, follow that feeling. Staying somewhere just because it's familiar, even if it makes you feel stuck or depressed, that isn't living. If your heart is nudging you to a new adventure, listen to it. You deserve a life that excites you. We all do. I've got lots of great video ideas coming up, just bouncing around my head. I think of stuff in the middle of the night that I'm learning that I want to share with you. So I hope you'll stick around, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye for now.